So Watershed here, we are at our fourth space that we moved into maybe 7 years ago or so. We spent about 4 years here. And if I look at the last several years, or the several years leading up to when we moved into here, there was a sense of certainty. We started out. There was a sense of not being certain of
ambiguity.
Things. Ambiguity. Man, just like, now what? Then there was a sense of vulnerability, and this is really difficult. And we move into this space, and here in Plaza Midwood, and there's a whole bunch of things that happen, but how would you sort of maybe summarize the experience here?
Well, I think the thing that marks this space is, we've used the word liminal.
Yeah.
That really started to be a part of our vocabulary. I think prior to moving into, on this main thoroughfare, we didn't have a language, any sort of contemplative language. Again, authority, what was real, all of that had been defined by external realities, external authorities, outer authorities. And I remember sitting in this space, and literally someone in preface started to talk about the difference between an outer authority and an inner authority, and what it meant to grow up and really begin to own that well. And it was one of these sort of aha moments for our community to be here, because we started to develop that. We started to recognize that whatever it was that we were trying to grab hold of in the future, like we were in the in-between space.
Yes. And we used a phrase often that we would hold the tension for people.
Yeah.
So this was a place that not only were we sort of living with some ambiguity, we welcomed it.
Yeah.
We were okay with 3 or 4 scenarios being lived out simultaneously, and that was a really it felt free, because we didn't have to answer the questions. There were a lot of questions being asked that we think we now are starting to try to play with answers towards, but in this season, there was safety, and we were giving ourselves permission to not have answers and to hold the tension for people.
Well, and I think however God works, right? It felt like within each season or space, people showed up that kind of helped us move into the next season. I remember some really key relationships walking through the door for the first time that, had they not arrived, I don't know who we would be as we moved into the next phase. You and I were talking earlier how in the death resurrection story of Christ, there was the cross, there was the suffering, there was the death, but then there was 3 days in a tomb.
Yes.
There was darkness, not really knowing what was next. It kind of felt like we were in the tomb a little bit here. We sensed that something could be true moving forward, but then we were also living with a lot of questions. Would we have a place to even meet moving forward? And ultimately the answer to that question was yes, and that started a whole new season, a whole new journey for ourselves.
It was deeply transformative here, but I don't think we had any idea what was ahead.
Yeah.